Hey, Field.
Yeah.
Chuck Norris doesn't need books. He just stares them down until he gets the information he needs.
Cool.
Time waits for no man except Chuck Norris. If you spell Chuck Norris's name in Scrabble, you win forever.
Well, you know what Chuck Norris can't do?
What's that?
This podcast. We're talking about the Delta Force.
Ladies and gentlemen, please notice that exits are conveniently located at the front and rear of this auditorium. When leaving the theater, we suggest that the exit at the front of the auditorium will allow you easier access to the parking areas. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mike Field.
I'm Mike Butler.
And you're listening to Forgotten Cinema. Each episode, we highlight a film that, for a variety of reasons, was forgotten by audiences. Whether it be because a more popular movie was released at the same time, or the film simply didn't catch on with an audience in its initial run. We'll discuss what we love about the movie, or perhaps don't love about it, but we'll always recommend you revisit it. If you enjoy Forgotten Cinema, we want to hear from you. We're on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok. We're available on all platforms with a backlog of over 200 episodes for your listening pleasure. That was a struggle, but I got through.
I'm proud.
I got through. I got to rewrite this whole thing. What's going on?
Nothing. I've just been called to arms. I quit my international task force because of a botched hostage job. But, I got called back in and I accepted the call to duty because they gave me a sweet promotion. And I'm going to use my rocket launcher motorcycle to save the day.
I think that sounds accurate.
It was Chuck Norris. It wasn't
That sounds accurate.
I don't even know how to ride a motorcycle.
So we are doing the Delta Force. You know what we don't do anymore?
The summary?
Yeah.
I was going to bring that up like 4 episodes ago.
We don't do that at all now.
It's fine.
Do you want to do it?
No, it cuts down on time. Chuck Norris goes to save a plane load of hostages in the Middle East. The end.
Topical. So the Delta Force is a runtime of 125 minutes. It's rated R, production budget of $12 million. It came out on Friday, February 14th, 1986. A terrific Valentine's Day movie to bring your young woman to, or your older lady, whoever you're dating. I don't know what I'm saying. I mean, that's probably oh wow, it comes out on Valentine's Day. Oh well, that couldn't have been planned. Like they weren't like, yes.
I mean, maybe counter programming.
Maybe we'll see. Well, I mean, let me see what was on that same day. No, not counter programming. just put it out. Opening weekend, it did $6 million. Domestic, it was an $18 million, and no international, which I guess I'm surprised it didn't go international. I mean, it is rah America.
It was made in Israel. It must have at least released there. And
doesn't say it. Well,
it did release in England because there's notes about it releasing in.
Yeah, but like they just don't keep track of that numbers. I don't know.
Old movies and not keeping track of international numbers.
Yeah, I know. So worldwide, we're gonna say 18 million, but I feel like that's not right. But whatever. Production company was Golan Globus Productions, and it was distributed by the Cannon Group. There's a couple of production companies and distributors you'd probably never heard of before. Because we are in the 80s. So it said it came out on the 14th of February. So let's drop back a week to the 7th, which you had in a wide release FX, which I keep saying we need to put on the list, and The Color Purple, and the limited release of Hannah and Her Sisters and Lady Jane. You never saw FX or FX2?
No, you talk about them a lot, but they are not on the list, even though I have
they are of the time, but they actually had some decent stuff.
The plot sounds kind of fun.
Yeah. The 14th this week that the Delta Force, I already forgot the name of the movie. The Delta Force came out. You had Quicksilver and Wildcats, which is a really good. I like Wildcats. You had a limited release of Terrorvision and La Cage Fall 3, The Wedding. And the only reason I brought that up is because I really like The Birdcage.
Oh yeah,
yeah. And that's what La Cage Fall, the first one's based on.
Oh okay.
Why couldn't I get 2 more Birdcages?
Didn't Birdcage do well? I'm surprised
it did do well.
Yeah.
Why couldn't I get 2 more? I was a little disappointed in that.
I think Birdcage is on our list.
Is it?
I think so.
Yeah. I like the Birdcage
because we've had a conversation about it before.
The week after the week after the 21st, you had a wide release of The Hitcher and a limited release of Dream Lover and 9.5 Weeks. 9.5 Weeks. Many a young boy watched 9.5 Weeks. Did you ever see The Hitcher?
I saw the remake of The Hitcher.
Okay, that's not what I asked. So I asked if you ever saw The Hitcher.
I've only seen bits and pieces of the original Hitcher. I know it's like a classic.
That's probably the one you should watch. I mean,
I got the new one was all right.
Yeah, but the original's the original.
Yeah, that's true. Rutger Hauer's the guy in the original, right?
Yes. Yeah. So this film was directed by Menahem Golan, who did Over the Top, which I shamelessly love, and Hannah's War. He also wrote this along with James Brunner. Brunner has written Missing in Action, which is Another Chuck Norris. Well, he's actually there's 3 missing in action, so another Chuck Norris vehicle. And Invasion USA. Hey, Chuck Norris was in that too. Golan has written Operation Thunderbolt and the 1983 movie Sahara. Cinematographer was David Gerfinkel, who's done the 3rd Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie.
Turtles in Time.
Rambo 3 and Rappin', no G. Just an apostrophe there. Composer was, this is one of Alan Silvestri's first films. I have a note on what he got paid, but he's obviously very famous now, very, very popular, very, very talented. He was nominated for 2 Oscars, one for Forrest Gump and the other for The Polar Express. Edited by Elaine Jakubowicz, excuse me. Yeah, I did Cyborg, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, and Simon Says. Not good. Produced by Yoram Globus and Menahem Golan. Globus has produced Cobra, Life Force, and Barfly, and Golan has produced Masters of the Universe, Superman 4, The Quest for Peace.
Classics.
Oh, yeah.
Although, as a kid, I did like Masters of the Universe.
Well, yeah, as a kid. And then you watched it again, and you're like,
I haven't watched it since I was in
Butler, come on.
I don't think it's streaming anywhere.
You got to watch this movie.
I don't know if I want to ruin my child.
Chuck Norris plays Scott. Or they call him Scott. He's in the credits as Scott, and they call him Scott maybe once or twice, but he's really just McCoy. Yeah. He's from the TV show Walker, Texas Ranger, the movie Sidekicks, and the Missing in Action series, which I said before. Lee Marvin, as his last role before he passes away, plays Nick. He's won an Oscar for Cat Ballou. He's in The Dirty Dozen and Paint Your Wagon, not The Paint Your Wagon. Come on, Mike. Martin Balsam as Ben Kaplan. He's one of the hostages on the plane. Lee Marvin plays one of the he plays Chuck Norris's or Scott's commander in this film.
Which they didn't want to cast him because they said he was too old. But he was like 61.
But he's Lee Marvin.
But what I think is interesting is Tom Cruise is still leading the Mission Impossible series, and he's now older.
Every year, I gotta see the old Wilford Brimley meme. Wilford Brimley was this age when he did the thing, and so. We get it.
It is just interesting.
It is, but I'm tired of seeing the same meme every year.
So we got a new meme. Lee Marvin is the same age as Tom Cruise.
So again, Martin Balsam as Ben Kaplan. He's one of the hostages. He won an Oscar for 1,000 Clowns. He's also in 12 Angry Men and All the President's Men and Psycho. Joey Bishop plays Harry Goldman, another hostage on the plane. He's Ocean's 11 1960s version and the Joey Bishop TV show. Robert Forster as Abdul. Yes, you read that right. We'll get into that. He is nominated for an Oscar for Jackie Brown. He's also in The Descendants and Mulholland Drive. Lainey Kazan as Sylvia Goldman. You probably recognize her from My Big Fat Greek Wedding series. She's in those 3 films. She's also in You Don't Mess with the Zohan, which I think is forgotten. I think we should put that on the list.
That's a funny movie. George
Kennedy as Father O'Malley. Won an Oscar for Cool Hand Luke. He's in Airport and The Naked Gun series, which is, I'm sure, probably where a lot of people recognize him.
Yeah.
Hannah Shagula. I butchered that. I apologize. She plays Ingrid. She plays one of the hostess, the main hostess. She's in Dead Again and Poor Things. Susan Strasberg as Deborah Levine from Picnic and Scream of Fear. And then the Captain Campbell, who is the captain of the flyer, the guy who flies. Jeez, man, I can't talk today.
Take another sip of water.
The airline pilot, holy cow, is played by Bo Svensson from Kill Bill Volume 2, which I didn't know where in Kill Bill he was. I think I kind of do, but I don't know offhand. Like I can't firmly tell you where he is.
I haven't seen the Kill Bill movies in forever.
Shame on you. And he's also in Speed 2 Cruise Control. You got Robert Vaughn in there for a hot second as General Woodbridge. He's nominated for an Oscar for The Young Philadelphians. Shelley Winters plays Harry Goldman's wife, Martin Balsam's wife, Ben Kaplan's character, Edie Kaplan. She's won 2 Oscars and been nominated for 4. So she won for A Patch of Blue, Diary of Anne Frank. She also was nominated for The Poseidon Adventure and A Place in the Sun. I didn't realize that was Kim Delaney as Sister Mary in there, one of the nuns, the younger nun.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So if you might have noticed her from NYPD Blue, and then you had. I only saw Liam Neeson real quick. He was in there. He's one of the Delta Force guys. I wanted to go back
and rewind to see if I found him.
He's at the fence when they're cutting the fence. It's really brief. Also, Michael T. Williamson is in there, and I couldn't find him. I think I found Kevin Dillon, who's also in there, but he is so young that I can't tell if it's him.
I think I saw him.
I think he's standing. He's in the foreground, and they're doing stuff in the back. He's just standing, like looking like this, like over. I think that was him, but he's so young that. Who knows?
Hard to see, yeah.
So while I've seen this film, you have not.
No, I as it started, I was like, oh yeah, I did see this. I have seen this before.
I've got a big takeaway that I want to get to, but I want you to start off so I can get a drink of water while you talk. But I'm curious, like where you fall on this. I think I kind of told you a little bit about it the other day when we were talking.
We talked a little bit. It's a really interesting film in that I think it's basically two films put together. I think the first half of this film is actually really good. It's really well done. It's really tight. It's really suspenseful. It's very interesting. You really get to know the hostages. In the second half of the film, it's like, screw the hostages. This is a Chuck Norris movie now. And we get some of the worst of the 80s action that I've ever seen. So it's a really weird film. Like I like it because it's 80s, it's old school. Like that soundtrack is ridiculous, and they're playing it while they're murdering.
They play that
so many people
incessantly, and that's fine.
And like the gunfighting is just so poorly done. But the first half is actually, like I said, yeah, right. But the first half is actually a really good movie. So yeah, I don't know where I fall on it. I think it's just kind of, it's okay. But it's definitely some kind of weird chimera of two movies.
Yeah, that was my biggest takeaway, was there is so much fantastic drama on the plane, especially when Ben Kaplan, Balsam's character, is especially when they ask for all the passports, because they are trying to separate the Jewish people from the non-Jewish people, because they're it's, I said it was topical, but it's, this strife has been going on for
forever.
Yes,
Yeah.
for decades, for not even decades, for I don't know how long, forever, as Butler said. So it's very, and this is shot in the 80s. So this is 1986, 85, right? I said
86 it came out. So
But
85
85,
filming it.
you are probably, you're 30 to 40 years away from World War II and the Holocaust and all that. So you have a character like who's basically Martin Balsam, who's Ben Kaplan. They're asking for all their passports, and he hands his passport up, and you see the tattoo on his arm, which is obviously his number when he was in the concentration camps. But that's not even like a tattoo for the movie. That's Martin Balsam's real tattoo, because he was in the concentration camps. He was part of the Holocaust. It's like, even that, it's like, oh my God. Like, and it's just, that scene is really good. The scene when they're asking the stewardess, at the time,
Olga,
stewardess,
the
flight attendant,
yeah.
no, Ingrid, the flight
Ingrid,
attendant, to find the Jewish names. And she's like, I can't do that. I'm German. I can't do, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she refused. Like, that scene is great. Like, there is some really solid acting going on in the plane, like Butler said.
Yeah.
and then it's just, it's not even the stuff when they get to the action stuff at the second half. Even when they're going back to them and they're just like, hey, what's up? We're doing this? Yeah, let's go. We better not mess it up. Yeah. And you're just like, what? Go back to the plane. What I said to Butler is like, that stuff gets so bad that I'm just like, it's one of those, it's so bad, it's good. It's like, I don't care. Like the whole, anytime they're shooting each other, the little rockets that come up from the motorcycle when he's standing on there, just the way Chuck Norris is acting. And I can only imagine that the note that what he was trying to do, or the note he got, was to just be stoic and be in control and confident.
Yeah,
because
it didn't come off that way.
He's just like, hey, what's going on? Do you want to go? It's almost like would you like to go get dinner? That sounds great. Like, it's like that kind of, like, it's not like he's no emotion. He's just like, you know what I mean?
What might have come off as a stoic note comes off as, remember your lines, Chuck. Remember your lines. Chuck. Remember your lines.
But like, I don't care, because it's just so, it's just so ridiculous. And I'm just like, yeah. And like, even when the action, like, you basically have two bad guys, two terrorists that are the main terrorists. Abdul.
Yeah.
And I didn't have his credit here, but his partner in crime who was on there, who's just yelling at everybody, and their deaths are so.
Yeah, there's really no drama or punchline to him.
Right. Like, especially the second guy who basically is like, he's screaming at people, he's yelling at people, he's like dragging people. And then when the woman's like, I'm pregnant, he's like, you up here, sit there, lay down. You good? I'm a nice guy. I'm a nice guy. All right, see you later. And then
he also gives the doll to the girl too.
Yeah. So it's weird. It's a weird dichotomy, but the way he dies is just like, he's just hiding under the bed.
Sleep tight.
He's like, sleep tight, sucker. And even then he's like, like, you can't see me if you're listening to the podcast, but he's just so stilted with the Uzi.
They're also stilted with the Uzi.
Yeah. I told you this. I said this to you. when they first are going to storm the plane and they don't know that there are more terrorists on the plane. They're just going to storm it, and they're all like hiding. And they cut to a Jeep, and and this is not an exaggeration. There's got to be 15 to 20 guys on or in around the Jeep. And now this is the Delta Force. This is based on true events. And we'll get to that a little bit because we're just into the ridiculousness of the story. These guys are like obviously trained. The real Delta Force is trained. Like I find it hard to believe that part of their training is to like, okay, get as close as you can to each other with your machine guns and your weaponry. Tuck in together. And like, you guys ready? Yeah. And they all start cocking their guns and they're about to like start firing. And they're like, gun is right over one guy's shoulder. They're like super close. Like,
positions.
Yeah. They're in no kind of, ready position.
You don't have eardrums, right? Perfect.
Like it's ridiculous, but they do it again when they pile onto the plane. And they're like, let's go. We're flying over to Egypt. We're going to fly to wherever they're going. We're flying to Algiers. That's like a good 12-hour flight. And like, they're just all cramped together, laying on top of it. Everyone's in a good spirit. They do even with the terrorists when they go and they have them in Beirut and they go into when they first march them in there and they walk into the room and all the terrorists in the room, there's like 40 guys in one room and they're just all standing around with AKs. And it's just like there's no semblance of any kind of like where people should be. They're just like, it's almost like the director's just like, more people. We need more. It just baffles me.
I love the shooting. I just love every time they shoot, pointed upward. It's and they're killing people somehow like this with no aiming. They shoot one guy. They go into the room of the hostages and then they shoot the terrorists. They're just like, stay down. And like, you're going to shoot the hostages. They shoot one of the terrorists and he just sprays his, like, someone's noticed, just spray your Uzi all over the place or your AK as you die. That guy clearly, the floor is all hostages. All those hostages are dead. And everybody gets up perfectly fine. No one got hit by any bullets.
So this movie itself is based on a real life hijacking of a TWA flight 847 that happened on June 14th, 1985. And then like, so, that didn't end well. So that they kind of like did the mission where like this mission succeeds. And if you saw, I can't remember the name of the movie, but there's a movie that came out a couple of years ago and it was about the Operation Entebbe that in 1975, or 76, when they had the hostage rescue. It came out like it's the guy, Daniel Brewer, I think he was in it.
Okay. Yep.
The way they, I guess, go about taking the plane in this one, which is there's no real way they take the plane. I don't know what they're talking about because it's based on that. It's kind of like based on that real life rescue, this movie. But I mean, quite honestly, base is probably very loose. I doubt. Two guys stood in the middle of a road with giant bazookas just standing there in front of at least 75 terrorists. And we're just like, hey, shot and then let's go and then drive off. And then apparently that guy must be the fastest guy who can plant bombs because it took him like 20 seconds to rig the entire
building to explode.
Yeah, the entire terrorist headquarters in Beirut. You set it up. They all start running and you don't even bother to wait till they get in there.
Yeah, they just blow it up beforehand. So they all go, oh no, and they run away. Let them go in there. I guess because the real life operation that it's based on failed, they had an actual Delta Force advisor and he quit in protest because when he learned that the plot was, oh, but this time you guys win. He's just like, no, get it. I'm done. And he just left.
Yeah. There's so many places to go here. I guess who stood out for you in the plane? Not the Delta Force. Who stood out for you of the actors in the plane and just kind of like overall? Because once they leave the plane, they really don't do nothing.
Yeah. They're like not in the movie at all after that.
They're just kind of like shepherded around from headquarters to headquarters, like,
I mean, Lainey Kazan's really good, and so is Shelley Winters. When Shelley Winters like, take me then, kill me then, I don't care, you don't take my husband. I think that's great.
My note about Shelley Winters is, did you see the note where, because they, like Butler said, they shot in Israel the entire shoot, think it's very hot over there. It's 100. I think it's 100 degrees, 100 plus degrees.
100 plus, and they're filming in the actual fuselage of an airplane.
And I guess Shelley Winters and the director Monaheim Golan will get into fights constantly. And the one quote I had was that she's like, "I can't do this, I'll die," and he's like, "Do it," and then die. So that's rough. But yeah, so that was my one note about Shelley Winters, which I wanted to get in there.
But yeah, I think Martin Balsam and Lee Marvin do a really good job. Well, not Lee Marvin. Joey Bishop do a really good job.
Oh.
And George Kennedy's good as well. Like everybody in there is like, they're all really solid. It's like, it's good. It's even the other little, like the second terrorist guy, he's good because he's like all nervous and kind of like scared.
Yeah. The George Kennedy, for like I said, many people are going to know George Kennedy from Naked Gun, and he's funny.
That's how I know him.
Yeah.
But I know he's also been in serious.
But he won an Oscar for being in Cool Hand Luke. So I mean, he's a really good dramatic actor. So I mean, if you're interested in diving into George Kennedy's filmography, I would recommend that. But he's not what you see. Naked Gun, he's great. He's funny. He's hilarious in Naked Gun, but he's good in a lot of other stuff.
Well, Frank Drebin would have stopped this terrorist attack before it even took off in the air.
Which is the one where they start off where he's dressed, he's at the headquarters, like Gaddafi's there, and and he rubs off the mark of Gorbachev. Was that
the second one, right?
Was that the second one?
I think that's the second one.
Little Naked Gun history going on here.
Maybe when the Liam Neeson one comes out, we can do that as a lead up.
I'm actually really excited about that, about the Liam Neeson one. Yeah. So I told you I would talk to you. We talked about the score is the biggest. The score is probably the
most memorable thing. Right.
It was used as a theme music for ABC Sports, used as a theme music for the Indy 500 from 1988 to 1998 and in 2001. So they use it, and I think it always pops up. I think always people remember it because it was for 10 years, for
theme to popular
right.
Sport,
yeah. So that music is completely memorable. Now I don't know if it says here that he was only given $15,000 to compose the music. I don't know if that was his fee or he was given $15,000 in the production
as the budget
of music.
To get all this
whatever it was. He could only do it the way he could do it. And I know we'll go into there's one of the critics quotes that I have here rips on the music. So, but like it was just like, oh, if you read the note, I mean, he was limited here, man.
The creators were like, oh, we just really wanted to show what one man can do, and Alan Silvestri was like, you only paid me $15,000.
Exactly.
You're only gonna get one man.
Exactly. Now, I said this is Lee Marvin's last film. He was actually sick during the film. He had an inflamed colon. He was working with abdominal pain. So that's tough. That's tough when you know that and you're watching it, which I did, and I'm just like, oh. But they were gonna have Charles Bronson was supposed to play that character, Colonel Nick Alexander. I don't know why he didn't play it. Maybe just oh no, he had to do another Death Wish or something like that. He was doing another one of the Death Wish
29,
something like that, or it ran over. He had to go do it, so he couldn't do it. Would you have liked to see, because Brosnan was attached with Norris for a while for this film? It
would have been cool to see like two action icons kind of like teaming up like that, but Lee Marvin was fine. I mean, the end part, it's so ridiculous that I don't care. it's whatever.
Let's talk about Robert Forster, because I have two thoughts that are in contrast. Obviously, it's not great that he's playing Abdul, because I understand that, but he's also not bad.
He's pretty good. He's pretty good.
I mean, like that's the thing. Like he went over there ahead of time and learned the language so that
learned how to do his lines in Arabic correctly.
He went over there and learned that. We're not excusing him playing that role because it's not his ethnicity, but then again, he did a really good job. I mean, I was impressed. I'm
an actor, should play.
I hear you.
Whatever. It's pretend. That's the whole point of acting.
Sure. So the other note I have here is about the editor tried to tone down those over the top elements, and Golan, the director, was like, "No, don't do that. You're ruining my film." Which I mean, I got to agree with him there. But I bring that up because as we were talking about Robert Forster and as we're talking about Abdul, the way he dies is just kind of the way like Chuck Norris gets him. He first of all destroys the civilian's house, driving through the window, doing his Chuck Norris thing, kicking him. Then he leaves and goes out, apparently to get back on his bike, and then almost like drives away at a certain distance.
Yeah, all right. Here, nope.
No, I
back up.
I got to back. Yeah, no, right here. Waits for him to gets into the car, and then he's like pulling the gun up. Because no, I'm sorry.
No, he's already in the car.
He jumps into the car, and then he breaks his arm.
Yeah.
Then he goes into the bike. Pardon me. And then we learn that the bike has rockets out the exhaust.
You missed like the 15, 20 second shot where you just hear the motorcycle start. And even Abdul's just like, what? And the motorcycle just, you hear it driving around. It's just like, what's going on?
And then like he just, then all of a sudden, after he kills Abdul with the exhaust gun,
his motorcycle butt.
Actually, I take it back because you see that gun before the Abdul thing. I apologize because the first time we see it is when he parks himself in front of all the terrorists trying to escape.
He uses one front launcher at the front, and then he drives around the back and fires one set of butt missiles.
But before that, he takes on like 50 guys, you think, by himself? 50 guys? Yeah, just by himself.
No one shoots him.
No one helps him. Nobody helps him.
Oh, that must be Scott.
And then they leave the place. Can we get? We're not waiting for him. And then we have where he's like,
goes up the most convenient ramp ever placed.
Yeah, like they stop him. They jump over. Chuck Norris is on his bike. My favorite part is he's trying to get. They drop the rope like he's gonna get it, and they're trying to get it, and he's like, I can't get it. I'm gonna have to do a trick, and it's obviously not him. It's his stunt guy. Stands on the bike like he's surfing, and I'm just like, wow. I'm like, all right. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with all of this. It's so, like I said, it's so bad it's good. We've kind of been breaking down an overall. The movie itself, like overall, just all the ridiculousness. I haven't even dove in to like the little things that I'm just like, what? Like, for instance, when the Lebanese minister is telling him, no, they will not land here. We will not land here. No. And then they get the call and he's like, and they say something.
We're going to kill an American.
And he's like, let them land.
Yeah.
He was so
like,
adamant.
What did you think they were going to do? Not do anything?
So adamant about not letting him land. And then he's just like, just let him in. All right, fine. And then he goes off and talks to his buddies. What?
Randomly, the guy who ends up being Abdul's friend is part of his
brother. Yes.
The military.
Yeah.
Is it his actual brother?
They say brother. But
yeah.
He doesn't say brother to anybody else. That's why.
Okay.
I'm assuming it was his brother.
You did it good. Like, who are you? You're just coming out of nowhere to talk this guy down that you happen to live in Beirut. Like, it just was like, what?
And then when the Delta Force is on the plane and they're flying over and, they're like, what's going on? What's going on? Like Chuck Norris has asked it like a bunch of times. And then he finally asks Lee Marvin's character, what's happening? And he's like, the general is waiting on the president. I'm waiting for the general. You're waiting on me. Like, I'm like, okay, why are we explaining that? Like, thanks, man. Thanks for
all right,
letting us know how the chain of command works. So, and there's dialogue like that all over the place. Gentlemen, put your patches on, and they're all just putting on their American
they put the patches on like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah,
like showing off that they got the legit, which I guess is legit what they do, but like they're just showing it off. Hey guys, we got the real uniforms. Look at us.
The close up of the Velcro watch. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Like, I'm like, why do I need to know that?
Because you want one. Because now you want one. Brought to you by Casio.
Or when they're in the boat. So before they go into the headquarters in Beirut, the terrorist headquarters in Beirut, they're swimming through. I guess it's a drain pipe, or I hope it's not a sewage pipe, but they're going through a drain pipe.
I figured it was a sewage pipe.
Into the water. But anyways. The spotlight goes over and they're like, get down. They get down. The spotlight goes over them. The spotlight hits them. It's like, you can't tell the yellow tanks of air. Do you think that's just normal?
They're only trained to recognize eyeballs. If you show them your back, they don't know what to do and they go away. They're like animals in the wild.
And the scene when so after they're blowing everything up, and they've as we've seen like 75 terrorists in this one building, they really just killed 20 and they saved the day. Chuck Norris is on the balcony and Lee Marvin's down below and he's like, get down, I need your help. He's like, how am I going to get down there? And it's almost like you're playing a video game and you see the rope that's right next, like highlighted, like, like the rope, like, I don't know, maybe that rope you're going to go
press
down?
Y to grab.
It's like stuff like that.
And he slides down with nothing in his hand.
He's got his glove on.
Well, he's got glove,
but he does it where he's setting up to shoot because he's like, he just obviously like as I'm doing the sound effects.
Hits every guy unless they're in a car going at full speed. And then that car chase through the city after the Israeli undercover agent gets killed.
Yes.
And there's
who plays the priest.
Yeah. And there's that stupid car chase after, which first of all, so the guy gets found out. That's fine. That's a fine scene. Sure. He didn't trust him, whatever. Throws him off the balcony. First, Chuck Norris is like, no, let's stay here. Let's stay here. Let's stay here. Throws the guy off the balcony. Let's stay here. And then they point at him and they're like, oh, shit, no, we got to go. It's like, why did you want to stay to begin with? What was the point of staying? You're 2 white guys in a van with Uzis pointed up where we can see him in the shot. Like, you're not going to get found out. And then they go in the worst car chase I've ever seen. It's absolutely atrocious.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the two of them in a van versus like two other Jeeps with guys in it.
And he's firing,
no one hits anybody.
But also, he's like Chuck Norris is the one that starts the firefight. In the middle of town where there's civilians running everywhere. And he
Geneva Conventions don't matter for Chuck Norris.
Well, maybe the fact that he called the original hijacking that the U.S. is becoming a paper tiger in the Middle East. Like he was really not liking the government policy back then. So maybe he was just like, you should have just taken a van there, leaned out and just fired.
Shot everybody. But like no one hits anybody. That entire gunfight. It's like, I'm sorry the terrorists aren't like well-trained like Delta Force, but they're still hitting you. There's 10 guys. And also like Chuck Norris couldn't hit anybody. Come on.
So obviously the guy that they decide to connect them with is Pete, who ends up getting laced with bullets and he dies. And like they have this like real touching moment where everyone's celebrating in the back and the Delta Force is just like, oh, it's like
not even all the Delta Force, only some of the rest of Delta Force is still celebrating.
Yeah, exactly. But like you had about 85 members of the Delta Force on this mission. One died. I mean, that stinks, but that's pretty good. And then they showed some guys with like the typical bandage around the head with the blood. Yeah, they're like, oh, I wonder what happened. Like there's a couple of guys that got injured, but they're just kind of like, they're just there for show. They're not as important as Pete was.
Yeah, Pete was Scott's friend. Scott bought Pete a belt.
Pete only thing Pete did was sit in the car and use the car machine gun to like, that's all he did. He was like strapped in too.
And then he got winged in the shoulder and that was it.
He got lit right across the chest.
Did he? I thought he just gets hit the one time in the shoulder.
He got hit. It was like a spray. Like,
oh, okay. All right. Yeah. That's less ridiculous. Because when he first got hit and he was dying, I was like, get hit in the shoulder in a Chuck Norris movie. That's a flesh wound. Come on.
How about this? How about this note? They save the day. They're flying away. Right? Delta Force comes out. Hey guys, drink them up. They're cold ones. Budweiser's. Where are those from?
By the ship.
The
airplane.
The plane that originated from Greece had just cold Budweisers there for everybody.
It was in Greece, but it's an American plane. It's an American.
Yeah, but they had full size cans of Budweisers. I mean, come on, Mike. It's obviously part of the Delta Force equipment package.
We bring this every time. We have one guy. His backpack, not ammo. It's all just Bud.
You got the ammo.
He's like the modern equivalent of the drummer boy in line.
Bazookas. Yeah. You got the aerial assault rifles? Yes.
How's our Bud boy?
You got the Budweiser? You know it, Cap.
Can I just get at least a pistol? No, you're Budweiser and that's it.
And then back to like Pete dying, and then they cut to the close up. Chuck Norris goes and sits down in the plane. He just goes to sit down, and like it's just a still shot on him. And I'm like, is he trying to cry, or is this just like
that's his
like well, just stare straight ahead, stare straight ahead and look solemn. I mean, I still like it. It's so stupid. It's so ridiculous that I like this.
One of my notes is I forgot how good the first half of this movie is.
So let's get to some reviews.
Nice.
Roger Ebert, you know him. We all know who he was and is.
Yeah.
And the Chicago Sun-Times gave this film 3 out of 4 stars, calling it, quote, a well-made action film that tantalizes us with its parallels to real life. Now, listen, we're both saying how ridiculous it is and we like it. I'm not going to tell you it's a well-made action film. It's got good, nice explosions.
But you can't not give the first half of the film credit. The first half of the film is a great drama.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in that case, yeah. But then you get the second half.
Yeah.
He's trying to cope with what he watched on screen because it's tough to cope with those two films.
His counterpart, Siskel from the Chicago Tribune, gave it a 1 out of 4 stars and said it's a prime example of, quote, second-rate action pictures, and added the action in Beirut is more appropriate for a bad James Bond film than for a subject that has been all too real lately. Norris gets off shooting rocket launchers from a specialty-built motorcycle, and we sit there stunned at the movie industry's ability to make money off any tragedy.
I don't disagree with that.
I would have loved to have seen that episode about the movies with Siskel and Ebert.
They argue about it.
Yeah, I wonder if that was during this time. I don't know. I think it was they were on they started in the late 70s, I think, that show.
I don't know when the show is.
Yeah,
They've been partners for. They were partners for.
And then finally, Paul Anastasio of the Washington Post called the film one of the quote one of those disaster movies that Hollywood was churning out 10 years ago, which quote doesn't even deliver on its own sordid level. There isn't any action till 70 minutes into the film. And that's a pallid car chase, like you said, immediately deflated by composer Alan Silvestri's idiotic disco fanfare. After the car chase, it's another 30 minutes till you can watch Chuck do any karate. Now, and like I said before, in deference to Silvestri, he didn't really have a lot to go here.
It is a stupid
what's
score.
He supposed to do?
It's the wrong score for this movie.
But we still humming it. We still dig it.
That's a good score. It just doesn't fit in this movie.
And they just use it over and over and almost like on repeat, like someone just, and not even the whole song. They just the main
just parts of it, just the build up, and then the main,
just that main section that just kind of like repeats over and over.
Shoots another guy. Just
So I guess, Mike, would you recommend this to people? I mean, I guess who would you recommend it to? Maybe that's
the first half is really good.
It is. The first half is like a solid drama. And it's a really good drama.
So I would say, anybody who likes old school action movies, because the first half is actually really good, then they can laugh at the end.
Who do you credit the first? Not to cut you off, and I'm sorry if I did.
Because it's like two different movies.
No, but who do you credit the first half? Who do you credit the success of the first half to? Do you credit to the actors involved, the situation, the writing, the director? Like, who do you credit that to?
I think all of it.
Right.
I think maybe not the director, because like you said, he was Golan was like, put the stupid stuff back in for the action. I think the writer, James Bruner, who I know he sent out during to cover the original hijacking to get plot points for this film, probably was like, I'd like to do it this way. And then it just had to, because of the nature of what they were trying to write, it had to devolve into what it devolved into. And Menahem Golan was just like, this is what I'm going to make.
See, now I was going to suggest that maybe in the back of my mind while you were talking, I was thinking, well, maybe because the subject matter is so visceral, like it's real, like back then, like it happened.
Back then, now, yeah.
But I'm watching this now and I'm like, no, this still, it works. It works not because, like, if I watched this back then in 1986, 87, and I'm like, oh, I remember that stuff that happened 2-3 years ago.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe there's a little bit more added oomph to that for me, but as an audience member, but now watching it now, I still like it. And it still has nothing to do. I don't remember any of that stuff, obviously, because I was too young for that. So it's it still resonates. So, I mean, it just goes to like the testament to like whoever has the acting and the writing and the directing in that, or maybe just the acting and the writing in that moment, just how great it was. How I mean, you've got Academy Award winning talent just belting out a major dramatic couple of scenes, first half of the movie, like Mike said, in a ridiculous Chuck Norris action film.
Then it's one of the few moments where I'm watching a movie and I would rather go back to the sad drama. I was like, can we get back to the really tense, sad, dramatic stuff? Can I feel bad? I'd rather feel bad and tense and watch this right now.
But no, you need to see Chuck Norris telling people to sleep tight, sucker.
Sleep tight, sucker.
So I cut you off I cut you off when I asked you that question. Who would you recommend this to?
So anybody who likes 80s action films, like it's because the first half is so solid and then you can laugh at the second half. Anybody who likes films or can appreciate the first half and then kind of watch like what happens when you kind of go off the rails, I guess, when you don't kind of stick to a vision. I also think that this film is ripe for a remake. Absolutely.
We're talking about they made two sequels, Delta Force 2, The Colombian Connection, and Delta Force 3, The Killing Game. Watch those.
Sure, it had sequels, but I want a remake of this. I think you could remake this story and find a way to make the action fit where it's still got action and it's exciting, but you still have the dramatic moments. I just think.
I think it would. I don't think you could put it back in the past. I think it'd have to be now.
It would have to be now, yeah.
So, and you'd have to have like a hijacking thing now. Yeah, that's fine. Why are we saying it's forgotten?
Because it's bad.
No,
the second half
bad.
The second half is bad. So good that it's bad. I think Chuck Norris, although like he's a meme or a joke now. In an awesome way. The joke about Chuck Norris is how awesome he is.
I mean, yeah, in an awesome way, but like he's an okay man. He's all right. I mean, he can kick my butt. I'm sure he can.
Oh, sure. But he's in great shape still for a guy in his 80s.
That's awesome.
I was just watching a video of him like.
Let's reboot
his
Texas Walker.
exercise
Oh, I already did that. Never mind.
Yeah.
Bring him back.
But I think that his star has kind of fallen a little bit.
Well, yeah.
Which happens.
Yeah.
And I just think there have been, although he was one of like the original action stars, there has been such a dearth of action stars that have come after.
Oh, yeah.
That now it's kind of.
Now, not after him.
Yeah.
Well, I think you had what happened after the 80s, and I'm cutting you off again. I'm so sorry.
It's
It's
a conversation.
Exactly. What happened after the 80s, what you had in the 90s was you had a lot more the everyman action star, like the Die Hard and Speed, and
we also had more Stallone and Schwarzenegger, which took what Chuck Norris was doing.
Yeah,
to 1,000.
but they were bigger in the 80s. I mean, their 90s they started branching out. Like, okay, True Lies, True Lies,
like Terminator.
They were starting to do other things, like to increase their their brand, breath, I guess back then. When Schwarzenegger went to go be the governor, so stuff like that. I hear what you're saying. I think I think that Chuck Norris, like I equate Chuck Norris kind of like with the Jean-Claude Van Damme style of action.
Yes.
Like that kind of thing. You don't have that now. Totally. Not really. I mean, maybe they're more like, you have a lot of stars coming out of Asia and the Asian film industry.
Like Ip Man and stuff like that.
Yeah. But I hear what you're saying.
Like maybe Conor McGregor isn't like, he's doing something, but he's the only example of that I can think of, like where there's a fighter who's now doing stuff, and he only just did one movie.
See, we did, if you haven't seen it, we have a now showing episode about, we did the new Roadhouse. And I got to tell you, Mike, the more I think about that film, the more I just like it because it's an action film. And like, that's what when you go into a movie knowing
come to my side.
No, I love action films.
You were not on the side of Roadhouse. You were on the fence.
I'll watch it again. I love action movies. I love when I walk into an action film, there's certain things I want to be checked off in the box. You know what I mean? Like I want to like the good. I want to like the guy. I want good action. I want to see the action. I want the action to be shot well, stuff like that. Like that's what I'm looking for. Just give me that. You don't have to give me anything more than that. And I think a lot of action films don't do that. And I think that's kind of a lost art. Like I think people think it's easy to do that. Maybe they think it's easy. Just throw a couple action scenes together. I need to make the action set pieces so big and so grand that you've never seen them before. Like the problem that Dead Reckoning ran into, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. It's like they're just trying to top themselves. It's like, no, just give me good action. The best thing about not Ghost Protocol, Rogue Nation, right? Rogue Nation was the last one, is the bathroom fight scene.
The bathroom fight scene,
and the bathroom fight scene is just a straight up fight. That's all it is.
It's a brawl, yeah.
And they just like, what else can we do here? It's in a confined space. You don't get big. Like that's all we want in an action film. I mean, the Delta Force kind of gives you that for the 80s, but like it's not like what we're talking about now.
Not in a good enough way.
Yeah. I think this movie has, when you look at this movie and you look at the box cover art, or you look at the poster and you see, you're just like, this movie can't be good. And surprisingly, it's not a bad watch for Saturday night. I would absolutely recommend. I mean, there's movies that I wouldn't recommend that I like because I know people wouldn't just dig them. I just like them because they're ridiculous.
Sure.
And this movie has that, but this movie's got like stuff in there. You're just like, Jesus, this is good. Like I'm okay with this. You're like watching it going, do I like this film? And you do. And so
the first hour, you're like, oh my God, this is like, not bad.
That I already brought it up. The Martin Balsam scene killed me because I'm just like, oh, that's just so I can't fathom that even as an actor having to do that when you live this. And Ingrid
scene,
stuff,
which I guess in real life she actually did have start to cry and she broke down.
But that's legit. Like you don't see that. Like usually in movies it's subtle. Usually in movies it's like, but this straight out comes out and says it. You don't understand. I can't do this. I'm not like And upon threat of death, she's like, "I'm not doing this." Like, but she does it. But still, it's really a great scene, and it's really good. There's really strong moments, and I say this all the time when we talk about movies all the time. There's always something good in movies that you might not think are good or bad, and there's always something bad in movies you love. So you shouldn't just write off a movie because you think it looks stupid or you think it's dumb. You should at least watch it and then decide if you think it's dumb.
Or not know after you finish Delta Force all the way.
Exactly. So what have I forgotten anything, Butler? Have we gotten through it all?
I think we got through it all.
Awesome. Why don't you give our little rundown so I can remember what movie you're doing next week?
So if you like what you saw, please, or listen to, please like, rate, subscribe, comment. All that kind of stuff does help the podcast version, the video version, Forgotten Cinema in general. We really appreciate it, knowing that you guys enjoy our content. We also have a Patreon. It's free to join. Once you join, you get an invitation to our Discord where we talk about movies. We just want to talk about movies with you guys, especially Delta Force. It's so ridiculous, but also so good. I think this would be a great one for the Discord to talk about. So join that. If you want to help support us even more, you can join one of the tiers and you get exclusive content like our lead up series. We did the original Roadhouse there. We did the Ghostbusters series. We're doing Aliens all summer long leading up to Alien Romulus. We're even doing Alien vs Predator. We're doing all the aliens, baby.
We're probably into that right now.
Oh yeah, when this releases, absolutely.
Yeah.
So check that out. We'd love for you to join us. Subscribe, rate, tell your friends about us. All that good stuff helps the podcast and the channel.
Yeah, absolutely. We're back and I think we're having a good time. I think we're having a good time.
Oh, we'll see.
Oh boy,
we got more movies to watch.
Join us next week. Where if you thought this film was ridiculous. Next week's film is ridiculous. And I have to tell you, when I posted, I already told you this off air. When I posted this, that I am watching this, I got a lot of comments were like, this movie shouldn't be good, but it is. And I really like this film. I don't think you're going to, but I really like this film. We're going to be doing the 2002 movie Sorority Boys. That's right. It's over 20 years old, everyone. So feel old. So we'll be doing that next week. Until then, have a great week. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'm Mike Field.
I'm Mike Butler.
And this has been Forgotten Cinema.
Sleep tight, sucker.
Oh, we're done? Oh.